I wanted to be like my big bros. I got in the weight room to be like you, trying to be big and strong as I could, keep up with the
When
wrestling matches that we would have.
when did that kind of start for you? I feel like you were somewhat of a late bloomer in that sense. I know we've talked about like our own progress into the weight room and how that was not fun for any of us at the
Right.
beginning and at different ages or whatever, but maybe just touch on like when you really started to fall in love with that because I mean like in recent history I feel like you've maybe been the most faithful to that process and especially through your injuries and everything. So
Yeah. So for us, sports wise, our girl group in my grade started, we think it was eighth grade. I tried to ask a few of them, but pretty sure it was eighth grade that we started. And we were blessed to have Chad as an athletic trainer that kind of trained us into a program. So we weren't just handed a piece of paper and said, here you go, like go in the weight room and do your best. But we were taught kind of drill by drill ish, day by day, kind of how to do it. Obviously, we were still young and not fully grown. And we were the littlest people in there with all these big high school guys. So it's a little intimidating right away. I don't think I loved it, but I think I was also a little bit ahead of most of the girls because I had you guys to train me. Whether it was like weekends or whenever, I would just tag along with you guys. So my form wasn't as much of a beginner as others. And then, so yeah, I didn't really love it, but I knew I had to do it because obviously to get better and playing time and all those factors that go into it. So ours was just twice a week. The main lifts were squatting and benching. You had
Yeah.
one day and one the other. Needed bench, love a squat. Got to 225 in high school. Yep.
savage.
But it was more so I did it because I had to do it, not because I wanted to do it, which I think a lot of athletes have in high school. But then, like you kind of mentioned, injuries into high school, I started falling into the path of things that I couldn't do and things that I could do. And I think that's when things started to shift of I missed doing what I was doing and I realized I love this a lot more than what I thought I did. And then I started to kind of live by control the controllable. Um, with injuries, obviously you can't really control that, but I knew I could control, like if I had lower body issues, I knew I could still do upper body and still push myself that way. Like there's always a way around it. Then I started to love it, and nowadays it's my favorite thing ever. It's funny at church this Sunday we were just talking about our sanctuary and like what is that safe place for you? And mine right away is the weight room because I mean I've had such a good experience, but then it's also where I can bond with you guys because we all do it. It's something that we all love. So it's been a journey, but I'm to the point that I absolutely love it and I wouldn't change a thing of the whole process.
Going back to the intimidation piece starting out, we talked about it for us. It was being intimidated by the guys above us and being weak. I'm curious from a female perspective, what was the main intimidation factor for you? Was it just having a bunch of guys around in there dominating the space, especially when it was a little more unstructured, or not knowing, like, I guess Chad did a good job, but like the intimidation of not knowing how to train as well? I guess what was that for you?
Yeah, I think us girls were lucky, and I don't know if this is all girls, but the grades above me did really well, like taking us under their wing and showing us, like, stand up for yourself. Go get if you need a rack, go get yourself a rack. But I think the most intimidating part of it had to be the just being judged by the guys, because obviously the guys, lift more than us, weight and amount of times in the weight room. So just like if we weren't lifting very much or if our form was wrong or just like we always thought we were getting stared at in a way, which is sad, but I mean it's the truth of we were just inexperienced girls that were in there to get a 45-minute lift done and we weren't in there for 2 hours, so we were in and out. And yeah, I think we all kind of thought we were getting judged. I don't know if we were, honestly, but it was just in the back of our head of they're looking at us. Oh my god, it's dumb, but it's the truth of it.
Kind of going off that from, I would say, like the female perspective, is there any like stigma around the weight room? Like I know there's the girls that don't want to get bulky. I know there's some, I don't know, about groups that maybe think it's not cool to try hard or don't want to maybe work too hard in the weight room and kind of check it off as a checklist. I'm not saying this is all girls by any means, but did you feel like there was any stigma around the weight room that maybe prevented you from doing things that you thought maybe you should try or anything like that?
No, there definitely was, but honestly, I think because I mostly lifted, my group was me, Xavier, Mallory Morgan, and we had Brooklyn Meyer, obviously, in there. And I think our group, we were kind of competitive. Like, we wanted to lift large amounts. I know me and Xavier would lift together and we would keep adding the weight till we honestly couldn't do it. But I do think that stigma is real and that keeps a lot of girls from going up in weight and they just stay where they're comfortable because they don't want to fail. Because I think you can't get a small amount of weight up. Like, you look like you're weak and you're not capable. The bulk thing I also think is real because, you're going to get big thighs and you're going to get big arms if you want to lift heavy, and that's just a part of it. And if some girl can't don't want to accept that or don't want to look like that, they're going to stay where it's comfortable and just not move up in weight. But I was blessed to have a good group where I could lift heavy. I could get jacked alongside them, and it was a fun competition for us. Yeah.